young people right now want, and I'm saying this from a very genuine place and a place of honesty to say, we as young people don't want to do the jobs our mothers did. We don't want to be doing the job that your mother came home unhappy about. Yeah. We want a freedom in the ability to do what we're passionate about. And service delivery and all those other things are not necessarily going to solve the issue that we have of youth unemployment. Because those services, the delivery of those services can solve a fraction of it. But we have a huge problem ahead of us with educating young people, getting young people into spaces where they actually belong, spaces where they're making changes, spaces where they're influencing policies that affect our day-to-day life. That's where the root of the problem lies. And we can't sit back and accept our young people being given jobs just because it's a job.
Right.
Yeah.
So now I'm hearing this whole, we are expanding now into things that the youth can do in order to change the status quo. So my next question is, what is the difference between youth activism and youth participation in the political processes? We are basically expanding from what you guys were saying.
Yeah.
I would say youth participation is simply just like saying, I've done it. That I've put my name down and I've gotten the stamp on my thumb. Whereas youth activism is a passion to drive, is a passion in order to drive for change, drive for innovation, and drive for a better future. Because from what I'm understanding, because I'm also learning, is that it's almost stagnated. Like there's no between the youth and the elders. It's almost stagnated. Like we all want. The elders want one thing, the youth want another thing. And it's not forcing innovation, it's not allowing the youth to come up with new ideas or even better ways compared to the old methods.
I want to come back on his issue when he said, sorry to diverge again, to go back, because I feel like it's very important. He mentioned that all the political organizations are selling one thing in terms of, let's say, for instance, the unemployment rate, that decrease the unemployment rate. You see, when I mention policies, it's a matter of when you read a policy, now you need to understand how are they going to implement, because we can all say we're going to decrease poverty or unemployment rate and stuff like that. But how she is going to do it will be different compared to how I do it. So that's where policies are. Now, this is a policy, he's speaking of unemployment, he's speaking of unemployment, but what are their plans? What are they planning? What are the practical plan? I think that's when it's policies for me are very important for us as the youth to start now reading too much of them and understanding them to understand. You spoke about activism. Activism for me as a youth, as a person that wants to know what's going on in my country, to understand. It's me not being that ignorant youth that wants to drink on weekend and go partying. It's me saying now, I need to understand what went wrong, where is our money going as a country, how are we benefiting as the youth, to understand. And I engage myself in reading about all the organizations and the policies, what they speak. I listen to the conferences, I listen to the interviews. It's me now being in activism. Now, like you said, he mentioned, I think his response was part because he said, being a participant is just being there, said, no, I just crossed that, I just crossed that thingy and I've got a thumb. So, yeah.
I'd say activism would be anything you're doing to better your situation, better the situation of the people around you. It could be helping the people around you get jobs. It can literally be anything to spreading good or spreading information or getting information, actually taking yourself out to say, I want to know more. You're being an activist already by advocating to know more. Yeah. And I think political participation is more, I'm voting. I'm going to the protests, but after that, I'm probably just going home and I'm letting it go.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't even go for protests. Just vote.
I mean, it could just be voting, and you say, I feel fulfilled.
So basically, she is saying that if you go to those programs, you're not actually an activist, it's just a follower because you just like that thing. Is that what you're saying?
Being active, it doesn't really just mean, and you advocate, you do, there's action, there's a will to not better just yourself, but better the situation of everyone around you. So it's not just being stagnant, going to put the X and being content with that. It's following up on your vote. My vote has already been put forward. What do I need to do to make sure that I help my community, I help my country?
When we define activism, this goes individually. So it's now fine. I'm deciding to be a DA member, you know, and this is how we do things as the DA. When I go out to the ground to speak to people, I'm going to speak of the policies of the DA. That is being an activism for me, you know. But being going to marches and participating and being there and all over, I don't think that is a definition of an activism. But it's a person that likes that political party and, you know, is present whenever they have things, you know.
Isn't that the route towards that?
Well, we're not understanding. Yes,
exactly.
We're not trying to understand.
You know what? Route that you take.
Activism isn't limited
There's no deviation.
to me going to a protest.
There's
That
no straight
is
path. There's
the
no
start
deviation.
of a bigger goal. If I'm going to the protest, I'm going to get more information. I'm going to get myself activated. It is, in its own form, activism. You going to volunteer at a program to help youth development leadership, that is a form of activism. Me going to a protest to advocate, to talk about vote, it is a form of activism. And listen here and talk in
you don't have to be seen. You don't have to be seen. You can just be active.
She said me coming to listen. Now the question is, everybody that comes to a march, are they listening? Are they hearing? Majority of people that go to these marches, they don't really care.
But they've
got a free ride.
Not up to us to interpret.
Yeah. But point is, you will find the youth there, but none of them understand what is being said there. To understand. That is why today you find whoever that is leading the country now, things are stagnant, they're not moving. Because we are hearing, the majority of the youth were there in those marches, were listening, but are we hearing, are we understanding?
I think it's the language, the thing that make us not understand or be interested or in the policies, or like as you were saying that we must read the policies and understand the policies. I'm interested 100%. But Mina, I don't think I'm interested in reading policies because of the language. Yeah, well, I'm a reader myself, but the language used political there is too much for me. Maybe if you were to come to me and explain it paragraph by paragraph in a way that I understand it, you know, break it down for me, then in that way we can see more youth participation that leads to youth activism.